What you hiding, fam? I thought we were friends. Oh, he doesn't recognize us. Never mind. Did anyone explain to him why he's here? He's just like, why am I here? I actually asked this woman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. And then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many demands I reveal it now. You meant to say that the victim regained consciousness? Oh, no, what was your voice? What? Local student jumped something other. Well, there's too much gruff voices here. What she did? You decided to ask her a question? That's true, yes. He did, and that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. Whatever. An answer that incriminates the accused. This is preposterous! Why am I only just hearing about this now? Why did you mention this before, you yokel? Yeah, what? What? Oh, he called him the yokel. It wasn't even a conversation! Yes, I did pose the withering English rules a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even. But she gave a definite answer. Counsel for the defense. I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth.
Absolutely, Your Excellency. The reporter is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut?
Is my mic picking up that helicopter that's outside? Goddamn! It'd be awkward if it didn't, but damn!
You asked her for an interview, you say?
Well, of course I did. I wanted to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year.
About the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life?
That's not the way I phrased it. Many calls for straight talking. Why did your murderer, Dr. Wilson? Is how I put it to her.
Yes, that sort of talking is as straight as a ruler.
Ask every question as if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant. I say, it's the best way. A veteran of the paper taught me that.
And how did Miss Brett answer?
With one simple phrase. Mystery is a woman's charm. Whew, that told me. So I walked right out of there. Yeah, right. That one little thing wouldn't have sent you off. That doesn't make any sense.
Really? Something about that doesn't quite seem to fit together.
Leave every room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall, I say. It's the best way. A veteran of the paper taught me that. Fucking woman being stabbed from and the other witnesses come running.
That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett had just turned you away.
Persistence wins the prize. Any minimus will tell you that. Oh, wait a minute. He's not. Oh, I was looking at it wrong. The thing that I thought he was pulling as suspenders was actually his camera strap. He's not wearing two suspenders. He's wearing one pair of suspenders, and he's been pulling the suspender the entire time. I thought he was just pulling. I thought the thin strap was his second suspender. Whatever. I should have guessed that, but I didn't. I don't know. Let them think you've left. Then, just when they lower their guard, that's when you swoop in for the scoop. And the fruits of your labor were all too apparent in this telling photograph. I'm struggling. I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence.
Actually, it's thanks to that photograph that we managed to identify this witness.
And now that you found me, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I've got nothing to hide.
I'm sure.
Please do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say. Try to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm going to tell it.
What did they say? Oh, extra. I was like thinking, like, what did the paper boys say? Like, extra, read all about it. But they don't say like that. They say, extra, read all about it. But that's not Benny Memo. That's not his job. He's not a young boy. And so Seki-san remained behind in the hut?
That's right, yup. Our author friend here was a blubbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to his toes, mustache twitching, eyes bulging. What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that taught me while traveling abroad. Behind big old bars! They'll be coming for me shortly. That's all I could think. I felt as though I were grasping for air and drowning in the sea of cold sweat.
Poor Soseki-san. His experiences in London have scarred him deeply.
As the world seemed to close in around me, I quietly recited a prayer to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity! The end is coming for me surely.
You were saying that to Buddha? Why?
No sutras are to resound in my courtroom, please. And now, we come to the crucial part. That's when it happened.
That's when the writer man asked a very significant question. What question? What exactly did he say? Why don't you just ask him? He's right there.
Well now, you should hear from the horse's mouth, I think. Nay, motherfucker. Don't you, Mr. Writer Man? What the you yokel again? Why do I have such a... I have such a hard time saying this fucking insult, or whatever it is. Yokel hack. What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying English woman? Well, in truth, I'd been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. So I asked her, do you have a bucket that can put the crabs in? Or can I put the crabs in your hat? Well, the seaside is a place of leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air.
Ray.
I ran up to the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over a collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead English woman. I nearly jumped out of my skin!
But what did you ask her, Soseki-san?
I asked her, who did this to you? Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't! She did not give a response! But... When understand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without invasion or reticent, whatever that word is, I demand to amend your testimony. I will! I asked her who did this to you, but she never replied. She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant. Well then.
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant. Soseki-san, is that really true?
It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, with student girl standing on the far side of her.
She was pointing at the back of the hut! I was gonna say, I was like, wasn't she like, I thought Ray was by the door. But now it makes sense. She was pointing at the back of the hut. She was like pointing, saying like she got stabbed in the back from the back of the wall.
I'm okay. What do you think that cross thing there is? I can't stop staring at that. What is that? And when I asked who did this to you, Point. Point. The English woman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut, which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today.
No, it's fine. I got this, fam. I got this. No!
Sasaki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? Fiddlesticks, I say! It's not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese.
Oh, he said that in English?
Yes, of course. The English woman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly. I'm gonna fucking barf doing his voice in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. To somewhere at the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all.
That's the answer I was looking for, buddy. We need to poke at this. Susato, don't let this go. You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing at are both unclear?
Yes, that's it. Unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
What, wasn't Ray there? Ray was there, right? Why didn't she see this?
Your Excellency, surely this proves a matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why?
You know, thinking about it though, if you get stabbed, I guess not. Maybe she got up fast enough, or she wasn't leaning close to the wall enough. I was gonna say maybe blood could have gotten on the wall, but
because as this court can see, there was no other than the accused in that direction the victim was pointing. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could have possibly committed this crime.
I'm inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial.
no, no!
Hey. The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyers hope dash. 92 points across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition. This is a serious blow, Susato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and to substantiate our claims with evidence. The judge will give his ruling, and the trial will be over. And then you will no longer be my daughter's son.
But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know how. We don't even know how the crime was committed yet.
Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need.
Ray gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The English woman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back.
Wonder why she was holding the pen. Like, did he just leave it on the table or something?
How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all that information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to this question.
Okay, but how are you gonna let me say it? I take it that the defense has nothing further to add.
So, the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. I can't say I'm surprised.
If anyone's a yokel, it's you, because you're wearing a green yellow thing that looks like an egg yolk. A bad egg yolk. Shut up. In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter.
This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim?
I know! Oh, can I, like, explain myself, though? I don't want it to be like, I know how, and then be like, oh, you don't have all the evidence needed. But I guess it must... whatever, the story's moving forward.
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your
Okay.
I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being. Sometimes large words make me slip up.
Oh, to what end, counsel?
The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory.
An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture. Don't you icky Arimi?
An alternative theory? Ha! None exists!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime.
What?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time by mustering all of her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction! Fantasy! Is this real life? Or is it fantasy? Caught in a landslide! No escape from reality!
If this specific video gets like, I don't know, 20 views, I will sing all of Bohemian Rhapsody in that voice. I will do it. Will I though?
Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, Consul, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryutaro Naruhodo.
That's my name. Yes, Your Excellency.
You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan.
How do I present it?
Okay, cool. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly were you proposing that for the culprit?
I'm sorry, Judge. You're so hot, I can't give you a good voice. Could I? Naruhodo-san would never give up, and I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here.
Are you mad, Consul? You're suggesting that the culprit was outside the hut?
You know, his attire, like, the reporter's attire is kind of bland. They should have added a little bit more to him, his, like, style to make it more, like, creative, like, unique looking.
Order! A student lawyer Naruhodo-san Esquire! That makes no sense at all!
Y'all just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scope snapped. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals wandering about. I could swear to that.
Obviously! If the culprit had been outside the hut, there is no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut!
Actually, Prosecutor Aochi, there is a way. And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that it's precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
You're bluffing! You're bluffing, you yokel!
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more guidance, Counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed outside the hut?
Is it enough to... It's not this, right? Well, there's a slit over there. Is that enough? Like, what... like, there's a slit here. Like, can I say that? Because there's also this that shows that there's, like, a hole in that you can make. What if I show this?
The original photographic print of the crimes!
Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing!
I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. I was right, yay.
Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on this photograph is a trace of the stabbing, which you claim took place from outside the hut.
Oh, I thought I was gonna have the magnifying glass. Come on, man. Fine. Could I? Look closely just here. That seems like an uncomfortable chair to sit in because you have such a poofy pillow, but there's no back or arms to it, so you would just be like sitting on it, but you would probably be like shifting around because the stool is so small. Doesn't matter. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds. I don't know about a blade, but it does look like something can peek through there.
No, I can't! I can't see any such a thing!
You fucking wipe your glasses then. It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you expect. However... Oh, is it? I thought it was a rounded hut. By parting the reed, a knife blade could easily penetrate them.
This is extraordinary.
Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut.
And of everyone present at the scene, there was only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right, and many Memo-san. It could have only been you.
No!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the sailor was a knife thrower?
You bitch. They said that she fucking got up and she fell. Oh, of course she fell over, you stupid fuck.
No, of course not.
We're not.
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Hosonaga, turtle! Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable.
A stool.
Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the read screen would align perfectly with the back of the person who was sitting on that stool.
My work. So, in fact, the victim was
Killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen. Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day.
I like his they put the details in his fingernails. We'll see when it gets back to him.
By your silence, Memo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge.
You can see that they put in the detail of the white part of like the nail on it. And I can't stop staring at it. It's such a nice detail to put in. I would love to be proven wrong though, you know, like, well, not proven wrong, but like, gee, by the time this episode comes out, I doubt we'll have a new announcement of an Ace Attorney game. Please?
This is absurd.
Oh my god, I can hear the walls ringing when I scream. Or hear something ringing. I don't know if it's the walls. Do walls ring? I guess they, I don't know, reverberate.
That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of his matter, which means that the defendant, Membami-san, is innocent of the crime.
Well, no, it's clearly that there has to be more to it, right? Because we haven't presented the poison. It's going too easy, and Mr. What's his name? What? Huh? I almost called him Remember Me. Many Memo. Hasn't said anything.
Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave.
I must say, I've never been more proud.
No, this can't be. The Ouchie clan can't. What of my growth? My growth of hope. It wasn't all an apparition. I can't accept this. I won't.
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my final verdict and
there it is. Took a long time. Took you a long time. Many memo.
well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedoms to speak and branding them as criminals.
But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the reed screen walls.
And no one but you was in that place at the time to have his hands on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction.
There's no proof to it though, is there?
So,
Your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the English woman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now.
Irrelevant?
Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed? It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference, if you think about it. After all, this trial already shows the whole thing hinges on something else. I was like a little nervous about his next phase, but it's not too bad.
What are you talking about?
Brace yourselves, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Oh, the blade doesn't fucking have poison on it. I forgot. Because of the dirt you dug up.
What?
Enough of skirt. Explain yourself, Wordus. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course.
The poison?
Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. The unusual construction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed. Given that her pupils were clearly constructed, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood. What? Huh? Is that a laugh? I couldn't tell what that was.
How refreshing to hear an argument about a metropolitan mind. Precisely. It matters not a jot who stabbed whom and who's back and with what was blade.
I struggle.
Because quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the blade, but by the poison.
But that can't be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already...
Oh, Susato, buddy.
Forgotten already, have we, Yoko? During those very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever.
Well, let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turned out to be a headline-making red herring. You're a red herring. Is that about right?
Well... I was thinking also, there was a moment earlier where I paused.
Well, I don't know if I paused actually, but like in my head I paused. Where I was thinking, did she like write something possibly, and then like that, like she licked the tip of the pen, and then she wrote something down, and then like that's how the poison got to her, or something. I don't know. I mean, we don't have anything that shows that she writ something. She writ something. She writ something. We have nothing to show that she had written anything. What does it say? No, nothing. Order. But where does this leave us? Why is there fucking something like get out of my eye? How in that case did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniably obvious answer for it. The lady most likely imbibed it. What the heck is that word? Imbibed?
You mean she drank it?
She imbibed it. Instead of just saying the word she drank it, or she swallowed it, or whatever, you say you imbibed it. I'm gonna look at the photograph here, as you can see. A bottle of carbonated water and glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped into either.
So somebody made Miss Brett drink it.
Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make a great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned a woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already.
Established? What are you talking about?
Huh? Don't tell me you've forgotten.
That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you.
Me? What on earth does he mean?
Oh, let me capture those white eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is. I actually don't even know what he's talking about. What's the indication? That is the fact that he asked for an interview but didn't get it, so he left? It would seem that this trial is not yet destined to end whatever after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency. You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim.
I do like, well, no, I don't, I like it, but at the same time, it's kind of sad that the judges in this game have been very, like, competent. I think I probably said this already, but like the judge, the baldy judge in the regular Ace Attorney games is like such an idiot. It's kind of like, it's nice to have like people who know what they're doing, but at the same time, it's kind of sad that we don't have any like jokes to be made with the judge.
You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a journal and I'm a man. I've never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now, because that's minimalism.
For a brief moment, I thought I illuminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial going to take us?
To Oklahoma.
Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman, and it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent.
Why did you stab her?
Because why would I bother to stab the woman if I've already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, and it got my goat. If the courts were going to punish Brett for what she done, someone else would have to see the justice done.
So his reasoning for stabbing her is that he wanted her to like pay for what she did? Cool story, still a murderer, or however it goes.
So, you admit to it then, that everything happened as I described. That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen.
You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Stab a woman in the back, I guess. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back. I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there.
You know, as a brave country would do, stab someone in the back, I guess.
As someone who spent his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was someone else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart.
You know, if he's constantly pulling on his suspenders, doesn't that mean he's riking up his pants like mighty high up?
You're implicating Ray again.
Especially with how far he stretches it, isn't he? He's definitely pulling his pants up. He must have the strong, like the tightest wedgie ever. Assuming he's wearing underwear.
She's the one who gave the poison to the English woman and ended her pitiful existence. Suddenly, snap! This journal here is off the hook. Argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison himself, he need not only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
And therefore, this report had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical.
I mean, maybe he did it to like frame the killing as a stabbing. Duh.
That's right, it is logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last.
This is unbelievable. And after I'd made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he going to get away with it now? Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel.
You got this, fam. We got this. We got this. You and me, we got this.
Very well, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial.
Really? Really? Really?
Yes, Your Excellency.
Don't toy with my heart, man. I'll be very happy if this is the final. Because if this is the final, I think this is like a shorter first case, I think. I stabbed the English woman. It's the fact that I proved I'm innocent.
So, you do admit that you had murderous intentions towards Miss Bregden?
Ha! That woman's very existence offended my sense of justice.
Your sense of... He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation.
Indignation, whatever. She was pure evil. A cold-blooded killer who committed murder right here on our empire's soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance. So I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice. Put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it.
So, in summary, murderous intentions then.
Yeah, cool story. Still murder. Still cool. What was the cool motive? Still murder? Well, how does that line go in Brooklyn Nine-Nine? I never watched the show. I just see so much memes about it. Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. I killed a woman. That English woman was a blight. So I had to do what was right for society.
Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl in the dock. A crime for which she must pay.
Obviously. Because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all. Meanwhile, Soseki-san is still just sitting there like, I'm still here.
So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim?
Obviously. That'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you were already wearing braces for like these.
The accused administered the poison, following which the witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of her. That crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works, you see?
What?
That is how the law works, you see, Yokel? Who knows? You may even learn something here today.
I learned that you love the word yokel. What even is yokel? Yokel is one of several derogatory terms referring to the stereotype of unsophisticated country people. The term is of uncertain etymology and is only attributed from the early 19th century. Yokels are depicted as straightforward, simple, naive, and easily deceived, failing to see through false pretenses. I guess it's not like it's a bad thing. What's wrong with being simple-minded? 2 consecutive attempts on her life in the span of minutes. What a day for the victim. Well, it's because she sucks. Do something that evil, and you've got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning.
That's not the kind of law this court upholds.
You will reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim that witness. When I heard the student girl and the pompous English murderer arguing it got my goat. Give it back. That is my goat.
What exactly were they arguing about?
About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. The student girl was laying into the English woman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Oh, I forgot that was a thing. I thought the argument was about the fucking taking the poison or whatever. I forgot the ties that Ray had with Wilson. None that it matters. Yes, John H. Wilson, a professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikotoba Susato. Right, but the English woman just jeered.
Her case was to be heard by the British consulate court in Shanghai. However, there is little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman.
It was eating that student girl up inside. You could see it. I really felt for her. Ray? And now she's here.
I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Ray!
Young girl, you stand accused here. You can just blurt out whenever you feel like it.
No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen.
But this awful man is making all this up. Susato, please, you have to make them listen.
Return to the dock at once, Miss Mummies. We are in the middle of a cross-examination.
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly! He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom!
Whoa, take it easy there.
Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say.
Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks.
Now he'll do it.
I will grant a request of the defense.
He's a man of equality.
But Your Excellency!
This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh my god, I thought she banged her head.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
You're welcome.
It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison.
Okay. I mean, that's what I figured, but...
The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson.
That's true. Additionally, Ms. Brett certainly had knowledge of no poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true! I pestered Professor Mikotoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Ms. Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin when we were developing, you see. And since Sasaki-san expressed an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away, other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singular and terrible experience with a deadly poison.
What experience?
I wanted to look at my own enemy in the eye! Surely you can understand that!
What poison? Wasn't this case with the girl who didn't even die? She got stabbed in the back? What poison? Poison? Maybe it's something. Maybe it's referring to something else. I don't know. Whatever.
To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government even. It would be a complete disaster.
Maybe you shouldn't fucking just be talking to people about the poison that you're developing for the military to people who aren't part of the military.
How did Miss Brett respond to your concerns?
She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually.
Oh yes. Many memos, sir. One small question if you don't mind.
I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy?
Literally you were outside the beach, listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you heard.
I sure did, baby.
Explosive, deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else.
So he knows English then, right? Oh wait, are we just bringing up the fact that he was the one who wrote that article? Is that why he's sweating? Oh. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, look at this! The entire article! It's almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word!
You were just reading out what?
Well, many memos on.
As a journal and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of many.
Arthur's clearly right about this.
I thought we knew that he was the one who wrote it. I guess not.
The reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut.
I fucking, oh man, okay. I thought we knew that was him.
So that's what it was about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinging story about me arguing with her.
Oh, Naruhodo. An article about the poison that was stolen from a laboratory at Yume University. The reporter many memo based on the information. Oh, so, okay, so was there anything about here that was like specific that like we need to take into consideration? Current methods cannot detect the newly developed chemical. Onset symptoms occurs in minutes, starting with impaired breathing and ending with acute contraction of the nothing particular. Yet. Shut up! My
stories never stink.
I thought he was about to say shit.
Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts.
I actually can't remember. Do they ever swear in his journey? Do they ever say the F word? They probably don't.
Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want it to go on record.
Fuck!
Very well. You may amend your formal testimony.
Heh, heh, heh.
Calm down. Why are you breathing so hard?
The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to then go stab the person as well.
Oh, is that it? Oh, okay. I'll press this again. Perhaps you doubt the efficacy of the poison as thought to make sure your victim would die.
That's horse dog.
What?
That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you'd even taste it. Completely reckless.
Chinese ramen? I guess that's a pretty interesting thing to put in there because ramen was invented by Chinese people. I think. I'm pretty sure. It wasn't noodles that was invented by Chinese people. I don't know. Never mind. I'm pretty sure it was Chinese people that invented ramen. It's just when you hear ramen, you associate it with Japanese ramen. But...
Although, it might surprise you to learn that I'm a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer as it happens.
Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to have been a good reason for that. Probably frame the person in the hut for the killing, to like probably steer away from the poison talk? Maybe, possibly?
If it was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut.
Yes, that's undeniable. Oh shit! I so distracted. I was thinking, like, what's a song that has the word undeniable? It's undeniable. What song is that? It's unbelievable. What? It's undeniable. What song is that? What song is that? Whenever I hear any specific word, I always associate it with songs, and I always want to sing it, but I don't even know what song. It's undeniable. It's unbelievable. Da, 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 da. I remember the song. 'Cause what? Well, how does it? It's Brian Knight's song. And I start back at one. Sorry. She's got so distracted. Did I read this part between him leaving the hut and the victim being stalked? There was one very crucial change in the situation. Sorry? What change?
A reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the English woman. I mean, sorry. What? That was a combination of Mikotoba and the... The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the English woman.
Yes, that's it. That's when Manny Memo-san first found out the exact nature of the poison he used. That could be the key here.
The victim had unwittingly taken the poison already. The reporter would have had no reason to stop her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable.
But there's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder.
If you could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poison, I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for.
Yes, I agree. In order to do that, I must try to glean more information.
Do I need to press everything? I thought I pressed everything. Oh yeah, I stabbed it. Why would I bother to stab a woman if I already poisoned her? When I heard that student girl in that published meant to put it on my goat.
It was nothing to do. We were discussing the stolen poison. The point is, if you poison them, there's no reason to go stab that person as well. Was there something that the poison lace blade? Maybe? Like to hide the fact that she wasn't. It was the fact that it was written was like to put huh? Special? Oh wait, I never examined this, did I? Ooh, bottle. It's so dark on my screen. It's just like a shadow of a bottle. The label appears to be written in a foreign language that I don't know.
It's German, so your knowledge of English is going to be a little help here. I'm afraid.
Couldn't you just have written medicine on it in Japanese? Then we'd all be able to read it.
German is the international language of medicine, my dear. But yes, I can certainly see the medicine label in the bottle in Japanese. Though, I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate.
Is it empty? Oh, I guess there's nothing to look at. Okay.
Never mind.
I wanted to say it. Oh, I got it.
Well, I can think of one reason.
What? What?
But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for me, for the court. Did you glean all that information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut?
No, the Poison Lace Blade. He specifically wrote the Poison Lace Blade.
Of course we did. There can be no question of that. After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin.
Whoa, shit. His voice changed.
And there's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
She spat in it. She was just like,
Where are you going with this, counsel?
Memo-san had made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in that beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it.
Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have embedded the poison while the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Memo-san overheard some worrying information.
Worrying information? What worrying information?
The information which he subsequently included in this newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy and that it couldn't be readily obtained.
oh, is that what? What? No. Is that what? No. Is that what?
Absolutely. In fact, it's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could have come from is my lab.
And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people.
Ah! And were my laboratories aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing? None of them would have been foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Membami-san being no exception.
Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson, unaware of its telltale properties.
I read that, but I didn't actually take in anything that Mikotoba said. Everyone in my lab is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Oh, okay. Okay. So it's the fact that because it was such a secretive toxin. Whoops! I'm sorry, Aochi. Your line got skipped because the text decided to advance on its own. What was I saying? They're saying that it couldn't have been anyone who knows about the properties of the poison because the poison is a secret government project or something like that, and as such, wouldn't use it for something as stupid as killing a person, especially for someone that's pretty not high profile per se, but someone of importance to the government itself or whatever, right? Whatever. I didn't say that, but I'm putting those words in. So the person who did it must have been someone outside of the people involved in the lab. What did? Oh, he just said, oh, okay, thanks.
In other words, someone like you, right hand Memo. It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day. What about that day? And it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim.
How did he steal it? Oh, he put it in the pen, right? Was that my assumption?
But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake. Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms that was so traceable.
How? It's what did he do? Dip the pen in the poison? How did he take it?
As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you'd already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake.
plan that involves stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
But what good could that possibly do?
Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect. Oh. I thought it was to draw attention away from it. Because I was gonna say, like, obviously you're still gonna know that it was poison because of her constricted eyes or whatever, but that makes more sense.
Once on the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. Or you had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, aren't you?
Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one would ever have suspected.
This is extraordinary.
Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, which he attempted to do so by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back.
Order! 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 The argument presented here is sound. The court is satisfied with its warrants considerations. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forth?
Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely!
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much of the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he is clinging to lost hope.
You leave my hair